Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the weather next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 takes us to the 7th of March, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. Very much around a couple of weeks. Going to have a look at the CFSV2 at the end of video for the next 4 weeks, and that's going to take us well into the second half of March, of course. European Outlook's been released, so have a look at that, see what's going on with weather for the next week, 10 days in detail across Europe. Our European Outlook is available for you all right now on the channel. Just to say, but if you're new to the channel, please give us a sub. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Click like and tell your friends about Gaz. Please drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, so let's get a start off with BCT then. So central England temperature is currently standing at 5.1. That's an anomaly of nearly 1.5 degrees above the 61 to 1990 average. So it has turned into a milder than average February. That will continue to lift up at a lower rate, albeit. Yeah, I think we're going to finish up probably somewhere in the mid-5s, somewhere around 5.5 will be close to our landing zone. That follows a colder than average January, of course. I can say mild, as I say, into the end of February and on into March. But signs will change later on through March. We talked about this in videos a lot lately. There is still signs of a change into the second week of March in particular. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at Sutton Coldfield today. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Sutton Coldfield. We're starting off a little bit below average at the moment, actually, with the upper air temperature, but it's still relatively mild on the surface due to the ever strengthening sun. But we'll see the upper air temperatures lifting up over the weekend in any case, and into next week, becoming really quite mild once again through the opening days of March. As we go further on towards the end of the first week and into a second week of March, so this period just here, it does look as though we are seeing definite signs of a cooling trend, like from where we are at the end of February to where we are into the second week of March. There's a definite cooling trend in evidence there are a few ensemble members that are going really quite cold as well. These ones that are going down here, they're cold outliers, but the trend is definitely to cool things down and to turn things more unsettled as well, I think. So for the next few days, it's going to be relatively dry now for the rest of this week into weekend, into the early to middle part of next week. A lot of dry weather. From the second half of next week onwards, it does become more unsettled, and that takes us through the second week of March, where we've got much more in way of precipitation. Now, there is going to be a cooling trend with that as well, so definite signs of rain further on into second week of March. If it gets cold enough, there could be some snow. Second week of March is not too early to get snow even down into southern England. Now, that's not to say we will get snow to southern England, but it is not too early, or it's not too late, I suppose, really, to do so. Temperature anomalies from the 25th of February to the 5th of March are going to be a little bit milder than average for the UK and Ireland, and for most parts of Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies from the 25th of February to 5th of March are going to be significantly drier than average. It's a mild and dry period coming up. Here's today's latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net, showing that wind remains in from a west-southwest direction, so weather remains mild. We have lost, like for the time being anyway, the oranges of the air coming from the Azores, so now the air is coming from a little bit further northwards in the Atlantic. The air is coming from sort of this type area. So that's why, or it is mild, it's still mild, but temperature has cooled down slightly, and that's the reason why. However, we're not too far away from those long fetch southwesterly, southerly type air masses, and I think we see probably things getting milder again actually into the early part of next week. Right, let's have a look at some data then. This is how the UK Met is looking for sunny under a ridge of high pressure on sunny, so obviously going to be high and dry, plenty of fine weather to come then. The high pressure still dominates into Monday, and it's still there on Tuesday. It actually repositions to sit to the north of Scotland by Wednesday. That starts to turn the wind into the east. Now, this is not a particularly cold easterly, but you'll notice much colder begin to surge southwards into Scandinavia. It looks like, we discussed this in the European Outlook, it does look as though the second half of next week, Scandinavia and Northern Europe generally will turn a lot colder. Of course, if that high pressure was to remain around Iceland, for example, it was go to Iceland, just a couple of 100 miles further west, we might start to pull in some of that very cold air from the north. At the moment, it looks like this northerly surge is going to be more for Northern Europe, but we do need to keep a bit of an eye on that. But I think the change to colder but more unsettled weather is going to be at the end of the first week of March, probably around day 10, 7th. Right, this is how the midnight GFS was looking. So again, big ridge of high pressure dominates on Sunday, bringing loads of dry weather. That continues into Monday, Tuesday as well. Into Wednesday, the highs just weakening a little bit, some showery rain coming into the northwest, but we still more or less remain under a ridge. But you'll notice the ridge is trying to get northwards there around Thursday. We're trying to send the ridge up towards Greenland, Scandinavia, and pull down those cold northerly winds. Actually, we don't quite pull it off. Most of next week should be settled, but as we get towards day 10, the Azores high does start to weaken a lot, and low pressure begins to sweep in from off the Atlantic. So it turns wet and windy around day 10, 7th of March. Eventually, as that low pressure pushes away to the east, we start to turn wind properly into the northwest and the north. So becoming much colder by Monday, the 8th of March. A surge of cold air just beyond day 10 with the midnight GFS coming in from the north. Then we're back into proper northerlies again there as we go through into the 9th of March. This is probably colder still to produce snow, even down to more southern parts of the country. It doesn't last all that long, a couple of days, and then we go back into a less cold westerly, although we finish up with the midnight GFS on the 13th of March, pulling wind back into the north again. Definitely looks colder and more unsettled than that second week of March. Right, let's have a look at the precipitation type forecast based on that GFS midnight run from Weather Outlook. We're going to start it from a week today, Thursday, the 4th of March. Here we go then. So a lot of dry weather up to the end of next week, but starting to turn more unsettled around the 5th. Band of rain pushing through the country. But it's running into the weekend of the 6th, 7th of March, and it turns a lot more unsettled. Heavy rain, some snow with that in the north as well. And then it starts getting colder, even down into the south. Look at this, we start suggesting that there is a risk of snow coming even down into more southern parts of the country. These are sort of snow showers on that northerly wind, but even in the south, it is cold enough with that air mass to give us some snow. Back into something less cold, so going more towards rain for a while, but by 13th of March, little snow coming back. Definite suggestions that there could be some snow there, even down to more central southern parts of the country, if the showers get far enough southwards in the second week of March. Right, this is how the 6Z is looking again. Sunday will bring a lot of dry weather across the country, mainly high and dry, gradually turns more unsettled through the second half of next week. Now, the 6Z is really raising the heights to the northeast. Look at this. This is Friday next week, 5th of March, raising the heights to... Remember that the midnight GFS run did try and build that ridge more, did try and build the ridge north, but didn't do so successfully. The 6Z is building that ridge stronger through the end of next week and actually turning the wind into the east. As a weather system that sort of slips southeastwards and we get wind back into the east again at the end of next week with quite a cold pool that's sitting over Scandinavia. So the end of next week goes a lot colder on the GFS 6Z with the wind coming in from the east. We don't maintain that block for very long. It starts to slip southwards, but a cold weekend on the 6Z for the 6th and the 7th of March Probably cold enough for snow showers to be into the east and the southeast anyway. Then low pressure comes in off the Atlantic into that cold air. So that's the 8th of March, just beyond day 10. So there could be some fun and games with that. Pretty cold air mass with that. So rain and or snow coming in from the west. Then we go unsettled and quite cold into the second week of March. A little bit of cold zonality being suggested there. That's how we look as we get to the 13th of March. Again, we're under a ridge and it's pretty cold at this point. We've brought the air back in from the north. So winter may not be finished with us yet, everyone. Watch your space. And we may get some sort of late winter, early spring snow here in the second week of March. I would not rule it out. This is how the GM is looking. Again, a lot of fine weather on Sunday and into the open next week. Again, plenty of dry and fine weather. Notice the ridge is trying to build northwards, though. Cold air surging from the north into Scandinavia. We don't take the ridge far enough north to tap into that with the GM. We just keep the ridge over country. So next week is fine and dry, but probably increasingly cool later on in the week with night frost. That's how look as we get towards day 10. The ridge is weakening at this point. And watch out for this low pressure around Iceland, which I would think is probably going to push northwest to southeast and possibly turn wind into the north just beyond day 10. A lot of dry weather with the GM. ECM looks like that. High pressure dominates on Sunday. Plenty of dry and fine weather. The high pressure vest goes on into the early part of next week. Then the ridge tries to build northwards. We do put cold air down into Scandinavia. We don't tap into it though. The ridge sort of just collapses over top of the country. And similar to the GM by day 10, the ECM is also starting to turn a little bit more unsettled as the ridge is beginning to pull out into the Atlantic. If we could roll on, I suspect we would probably find this low pressure around Iceland going northwest to southeast and the ridge in the Atlantic pushing northwards. This is the precipitation type forecast based on their ECM run. There is going to be a lot of dry weather to come over the next week to 10 days, so very little in the way of rain, really all the way up to day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which will get us to the 7th of March. We have 20 members of the ECM ensembles just here with a ridge in the middle of the Atlantic and a ridge over top of the country. Winds are going to be sort of flat and westerly type with that. Reasonably dry and relatively mild. 17, including the operational run, have a ridge up towards Scandinavia, but also through the UK and out into the Atlantic too. So that one, of course, is high and dry. And then 14 just here, having high pressure towards Iceland and Greenland, combined with a mid-Atlantic ridge. That could be pulling in some colder air from the east or from the northeast. That's probably the coldest solution. All options seem to involve high pressure, though, at day 10, so a lot of dry weather. Changes, though, for 2 weeks out, so this gets us to the 12th of March. Have 17 members of the ECM ensembles looking very unsettled at this point with low pressure through the country. Jet stream probably on a bit of a north-west-southeast alignment, so cool and very unsettled with that. 10, with low pressure to our east, a ridge of high pressure to our west, mid-Atlantic ridge. Winds probably coming in from a northwesterly or northerly direction. 9, with high pressure sitting over and just to the east of the country, a lot of dry weather with that and could be rather chilly. 9 down here have low pressure to our east and south. High pressure is up towards Greenland. Winds will be coming in from a north-northeasterly direction with that. That's probably the coldest option of all options, I would have thought. And could actually be wintry. There's wintry potential with that option, but only 9 doing that. And 6 have high pressure over and just to the east of the country, low pressure out to the northwest, and winds again a little bit westerly. That's probably a milder solution. So there's a range of options, but it does look as though pattern changes are taking place here for the second week of March. Finally, 7th V2, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 25th of February to the 3rd of March. Coming week, we'll have high pressure over top of the country, low pressure moving out to the northwest. It's going to be mainly dry and very mild and spring-like in the week ahead. Week 2 is going to be the 4th through to the 10th of March, still with high pressure over country, just a little bit to our north-northwest. Winds a bit more easterly, perhaps, with that one. Week 3, big change. This is the 11th to the 17th of March. Low pressure towards Greenland, Iceland, down the west of Europe, a mid-Atlantic ridge as well. So definitely more unsettled, of course, with low pressure in control. And probably colder as well, with the air coming off Greenland. So colder and more unsettled for the middle of March. And then another big change for week 4, it's the 18th to the 24th of March. Look at this, high pressure is back in again. So after that colder interlude or colder snap, we get low pressure up towards Greenland, Iceland. We send the jet stream back northwards and we start to pull up spring. We pull up spring from southern climes. That would be a nice warm ridge. And yeah, you get temperatures in the mid-teens with that. Back to sunshine will be very, very nice as well. Whoops, I've enabled the camera too quickly. Right, that's it for today's videos. If you enjoy the video, please can you smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to see future weather content. Tell your friends, family, neighbour, Dr. Vicar, everybody to subscribe as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We are, in theory, on the grind to 11k subs, but subs have slowed down quite a lot at the moment, but we will get to 11k in the end. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. When you subscribe, click the bell, and then you'll be notified by YouTube when we release videos and live streams. You'll get the notification. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, that's it for today's video. I've got a very busy day coming up tomorrow. So I'm going to tell you what's happening tomorrow before we wrap things up. We've got JMA Friday to start us off. We'll have a 10 to 14 dayer as well tomorrow. The ECMWF 42-day forecast, which I've been tend to release on a Saturday, is going to be released tomorrow as well. So 3 uploads, and we'll be live streaming for the final time on Friday night, for the time being anyway. We'll have our last Friday night live stream, and that will be after 10 o'clock tomorrow. But have a laugh one last time. On a Friday night, for a while anyway. Right, so that's all coming up tomorrow, but for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.